Alrighty, just reviewing real quick with you guys if you're checking online. Our first unit, again, we're just focused on basic governmental principles and I guess the history of democracy is how we can title it. And like we talked about in class, before we even started this, we looked at the definition of government, about being institutions that make decisions collectively for society. And remember, we talked about how you can apply that definition to anything and any government that exists in society. And then we took a look at democracy, and remember the rule of the people, and we had two types of democracy: direct and then indirect. Direct, ruled by the people themselves, and indirect is we elect representatives. A good question to think of: what kind of rules would we have if we let in a direct democracy exist? If everybody had a vote, on every little issue, think about all the different rules that would be there. And since the founders did have that distrust of a direct democracy because of the impracticalities of it and their fear of the demagogues, the shiny object per se, that people would be taken up in a fleeting moment, like it says here, of passion by some political leader, we would just follow them blindly. And so they were worried about that. So that's why that's why our founders were drawn to a democracy. The type of democracy that we have in the United States, we have what I put up here, a federal republic, but we are considered a republic. A lot of the same characteristics of an indirect or representative democracy, but it solves the problems that are associated with the direct democracy right there. And then moving on real quick to the different theories of democracy, or democratic theories. Remember, when we looked at this, we talked about who makes public policy. Remember, public policy being laws and things that you and I have got to follow. And the two I'm going to quickly focus on here, I know we have majoritarian politics view, but we're going to look at the elite or class political views, and that's minorities. The elite minorities dominate policy making. And there's three different theories: the Marxists, the C. Wright Mills, and the Max Weber. The influence of bureaucracies, big government, the influence right here with C. Wright Mills of the power elite, corporate, military, and political leaders. Those are the ones who make the decisions for us. Those are the ones who decide public policy. And then the Marxists, that our whole society is influenced by the rich. That's a good argument now, especially given our times. Think about the 1%, as when you hear about the elite, that's the 1%. They're the ones making all the views. Again, this is in bold because it was on previous AP exams, and so just realize that. I also have here the pluralist view, and just remember what we talked about here. This is when you have a lot of competing interests, and you hear that term interest, think about special interest groups like the NRA, the NOW organization, and how they're competing in politics to create public policy, to have an influence in public policy. And so that's the pluralist view, because there's all these different interests, by the way, that essentially the needs of the people is going to be met, because no single group is going to dominate politics this way. And then the other one here, we have the hyper-pluralist view, and I put the iron triangle. If you remember, you had the special interest groups on top, you have government bureaucracies, and you have congressional committees. Those three things are what help decide public policy, essentially. And we have that iron triangle. All three of them need each other. They're all important in their own roles, but there's too many views on this, and it's too concrete that nothing really is going to get done. There's that gridlock, and because they have all their own self-interest there. So these are the three. There's four views here about who makes public policy and who decides that. And then real quick, the fundamental democratic values. These are things that we must have in our society. Again, the popular sovereignty, the right to vote, and all this other stuff. Respect for the individuals. I put individualism here. Again, the states look out for the individual, not the individual looking out for the state. Liberty, freedoms, and then equality. It's big here. It's not just like equality, racial equality per se, because look at our history. We haven't always had that, and you can argue we still don't. It's equality of opportunity. So remember that. Equality of opportunity is what we're really focusing on here.